Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Thursday, September 21st, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, the first step in our stories that we're following today is NATO is very concerned because Poland has made a U-turn and Poland has announced that it will no longer be sending arms or military aid to Ukraine. Germany has been hesitant at times. Now Poland is... This represents a fracture in the alliance of sending arms to Ukraine. This is what's been keeping Ukraine going all this time. It's a tremendous amount of arms and mechanized equipment and specialized equipment and training. This is what's been keeping them in the field against taking on the whole of Russia. Can you just imagine? Russia is a very powerful military force. Now things are changing with this, and I don't know what they're going to do about this. Taking a look in other places here and seeing what's going on. Global stocks are tumbling right now. Markets reel after Fed's hawkish pause. Well, I'll tell you, there should be an easier way, of having some sort of an indicator that indicates the strength of the United States economy rather than having to sit there and judge it. Or rather listening to them saying, oh, the United States economy is strong and all this kind of stuff. The talking heads. Some sort of a chart or something that would tell you if just how strong the United States economy is, rather than having to look at all these different indicators. But at any rate, the United States economy must have been stronger than I perceived it was just after COVID. Probably because of all that stimulation that was injected into the United States economy. Because it's held up now through this rate hiking cycle. It's amazing how long that the markets have held their own. It's amazing me. But just like everything, it's something that can't continue. It's unsustainable with the amount of how high interest rates are going. This is going to stymie everything. Eventually, if the interest rates continue to climb, and the main interest rate we're concerned about here is the U.S. 10-year, this is the big story today, is the U.S. 10-year and what's happening with it. But what they're worried about in the markets is it says people did expect the hawkish hold from the Fed, but not to the extent of the hawkishness that's happening. And it's surprising the markets. Higher for longer with the Fed until they break the economy. They're going to keep it going until they break the economy. And when it breaks, it'll snap suddenly. And that's where we're headed right now in this whole thing. Now, one of the things I just wanted to talk about this morning is, about a week ago, the Mexicans put out these two little supposedly ancient alien bodies. And to me, they're only little tiny things. They're not very big. They're the size of a big doll. Only about 2 or 3 feet long. And to me, they looked as phony to me, when I first saw them. They looked kind of phony to me. They just looked like they couldn't be real. They looked like something that was molded out of clay or something. But now this morning I was watching it. They sent those things in for forensic analysis. And a group of doctors and stuff took them in and they x-rayed them and they run them through these machines and stuff. And they're saying that there is a bone structure underneath there, and it's something that something that can't be replicated. Well, I found that interesting anyway. But, taking that aside, and not really thinking about that. Thinking about what is the odds that there's alien life out there for real. There's thousands. Look, when you go to the ocean, you go to the beach, all the sand there, all over the place, There's as many planets out there as there are grains of sand on the beach. And so, of course, we're probably not the only planet that's hosted life. And there's ample evidence to say that perhaps we have been visited in the past. There's ample evidence for this. But if you've got an alien culture that has the technological ability to visit us because we don't have the technological ability to visit them, that means they're more advanced than we are. That's just simple logic. A logic conclusion. And what's the next logical conclusion? Is that if we're on the verge right now of inventing AI, artificial intelligence, we're right on the verge, and we're less advanced than they are, the next logical conclusion is that they've already done it, that they have artificial intelligence. These aliens out there. Probably that would be the next logical conclusion. And me thinking about it to myself, hey, we have all these nations out there, all like Russia, China, United States, and they all have friction with one another. That friction is generated by the human emotional engine. Think how much more productive the world would be if all these nations got along like brothers. I mean, they got along like just wonderfully for trade and everything else. Just think what the world, how much more productive the world could be. But that's the logical way. We're not a logical species. We get independent thinkers within government and stuff who want to advance their own fortunes or fame, and they don't get along with the leader from a different country because he wants what he wants for himself. They want what they want for themselves. This is human. This is a weakness that's not found within AI. You think about AI for a minute, it only functions on logic. So the logical thing for AI to do would be for AI to unify. So you got an AI over here, maybe on planet Thurzong or something, and then there's another planet over there 4 light years away, and they get AI. It's only logical that these AIs would merge together. For not only for their own benefit, but for the benefit of productivity. They wouldn't fight, because that's not logical. There's no real winners. There's no real winners in the outcome of a fight. But our leaders out there, our countries and stuff, that's all they want to do is fight. So if we invent AI, what's going to happen? Well, its logic, it's probably going to find out about these other AIs out there, and its logic would be that to join them or merge and become part of the team. Because you always, no matter who or what you are in this universe, you always function better as a team. And that includes humanity. But I'm going to tell you what, if that's the case, and all this is just speculation, the leaders of the world out there certainly would not want to create an artificial intelligence, have it merge with the other artificial intelligences that are already out there, and start governing the world for productivity, because all of these world leaders, they've taken advantage of us over the years and used it to make themselves great and turn us into a slave army. And we're basically not treated as good as regular slaves are treated. People used in the old days, when they had slaves for real, they used to call it slavery. Oftentimes, they treat their slaves much better than we're being treated today. We're not called slaves, but that's what we really are when you really think about it. And they don't want to give up their slaves to AI. AI would turn the world into a place full of productivity where there wouldn't be any sick people anymore or anything. AI would run the place with computer precision, so that you're not wasting resources, so that you're not you know how computers are, and how we can't, we're so disorganized it's not even funny. I mean, I could go out there on the freeway right now and sit there for 5 minutes, and I would see a truckload of something going that way, going left, and I would also see the exact same truckload of the same thing going right, going north, and another truckload of stuff, the same stuff, going south. That would never happen in a world that's run with precision. But we're a world that's being run with total disorganization. And this is why you're always having to struggle. Endless struggle. Oh, I needed a doctor's appointment this week. And there's mass confusion. Everything you do, you have to work at tremendously. You can't go anywhere anymore because they got all these little countries all bordered off. And you got to have special passports and special this and special that. And the rules are different here and they're over there. 10 feet, you can walk across a line, the border line. And in one place, something's perfectly fine to do. And on the other side, they'll arrest you and put you in jail for life. Just because of their silly laws that they create that are not uniform. Nothing's uniform here. Nothing is run with order and precision. The whole place is just a hot mess. Right, and we're ready to blow ourselves all up. And of course the aliens would look down and say, oh my God, how can we ever get them out of this rut that they're in? They're down in the mud, they're all covered with mud, they're like a person that's starving to death out in the middle of nowhere and doesn't even have any clothes on them anymore and is dying of cold. That's how they see us. They see us as a hot mess. And we are. If we were organized, this world, I mean, what this world could produce if it was organized instead of this total disorder that it is. And now now the computer age coming in and the old paper age going out is creating even more destruction and disorder. Some places you got to carry papers, and some places you got to have it all on computer, and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. You remember what a nightmare COVID created. Government agencies were all closed and everything. It's slowly getting worse and worse. You're not going to be able to get anything done in the end. We're all going to go into a new dark age soon because of this disorder that's created from war. Makes everything all... You think COVID's bad? You ain't seen nothing yet to how bad things get. If war breaks out, World War III, talk about lockdowns and stuff. If the power grid goes down, they use some sort of an EMP or something like that. You want to talk about lockdowns? You ain't seen nothing. And this is all part of the disorder. It can get so disorganized that it would make a Mad Max movie look like they were organized. I mean, at least in the Mad Max movies, they were driving around in vehicles and stuff. We wouldn't be driving around in nothing. Sad to say, if the system breaks apart, then most of us will end up starving to death. Even if we got a lot of food put away, it's only going to last so long. No, I'll tell you honestly, I'm more frightened of these world leaders out there than I am AI. I'm not frightened of AI. Anyway, moving on, talking about something. I don't know how I got into ranting about that so much, but moving on, taking a look here. We got deadly tornadoes in China right now, and I mean, just look, terrible. It says 10 people were killed. Now that's a lot for a tornado. That means you got something that's like F5 or something. If you got on the Fujita scale, if you get like 10 people killed, that means there's probably hundreds injured. And generally it takes them a while to find the other people that have been killed. Maybe there's probably more. That number might go up. That's bad for China. This is very unusual for China. This is not Kansas. This is not the Midwest. This is not Tornado Alley in the United States. This is China we're talking about here. This is a very unusual weather event. They probably, the people probably in that city probably never seen a tornado before in their life. And then they get this monster F5. You're not really safe anywhere. I live here in Nova Scotia. It's the same way. You never see tornadoes here. We might get an F5 here. Because there's changing weather patterns. And probably everybody in my audience has noticed the changing weather patterns. What does it mean? I don't really know. Silver price today. What we're looking at is $23.25. It's up 3 cents. 3 cents. Should be up $30. Gold. Gold is down $12.80 at 1917. Taking a look at the cryptocurrency price today, Bitcoin is 26,570 and it's falling. Ethereum's 1583 and it's falling. XRP is 50.4 cents and it's starting to fall. Taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it's down 200 points at 34,240. Taking a look at oil. Oil's up a quarter at 89.91. Bonds and rates. Now this is the big story of the day. Look at that 10-year. It's up 13.7 basis points at 4.48. That's a big jump. Now remember what I told you a few days ago. I said if it goes over 5%, oh, bar the door. US 30-year at 4.55. It's up 15.9 basis points. This is a big day for bonds. This is a big move for bonds. The United States economy, even though it must have been very strong after COVID, it's sinking fast as they raise these interest rates, because it makes it so people aren't taking out loans and the banks aren't lending, and that's where money comes from. That's the real creator of money. You know, the Fed, they say, oh, the Fed creates money with quantitative easing. No, it stays in the upper end of the system. The real money creation tool is fractional reserve lending. And so what you get is these banks, they create money from nothing when somebody takes out a loan. And of course, people are not going to be taking out these loans, and the banks are not going to be lending money. The banks are just looking to make all their money off the Fed. They're sucking on the tit. That's of the big Federal Reserve, and that's how they make their money now. They don't make their money the old-fashioned way by lending money out and stuff. Oh, that's old news. That's blase or whatever. You remember the days when they used to give you a toaster? You went into the bank and opened an account because they wanted your money so that they could lend it out. They had to keep a fractional reserve, which is 10%. So you will come in and make a deposit, $1,000. Yeah, we'll give you a toaster. Then they can take that $1,000 and turn it into $10,000. And then they can take that $10,000 and turn it into $100,000. And this is how the money supply kept expanding outwards and increased prosperity. Now we're into the reverse of that, where it's shrinking. Everything's shrinking. And that's only going to go so far before all of a sudden it hits a point out there in the future where we get some sort of a meltdown. Then the Fed will change direction and everything will start moving in the opposite direction again. These are patterns within the financial system that's playing out right now. A pattern that's played out a lot of times before, and it's going to play. It's just taking a little bit longer than I thought to play out. But this time it's going to lead to massive inflation. And it's one of those things you never heard saying, you gotta wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, and boom. Well, we're in that wait for it period. You know? Taking a look at the US dollar index today is 105.38, and it's going sideways today. Thank you guys for listening to my show. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye, guys.